Back to the channel again. We're sitting in the same seat as what we were in the previous video, and we're just going to talk about, this is a quest from one of my YouTube and Instagram followers who are struggling with rushing the downswing. So rushing the downswing is quite a big topic in golf at the moment, and it does create a lot of confusion and a lot of golf related problems on the downswing. So what I mean by rushing the downswing is a lot of players will get the club to the top of the backswing, they'll get it in a functional position, an ideal position, but the tendency is, if you golfers release the club earlier or throw the club from the top of the backswing, we know we're in a hurry to hit the golf ball, and we get in a tendency of actually start the downswing a little bit too quickly. So it's my job today to educate you golfers out there in a couple of simple tips to implement not only within our indoor practice, but when obviously we get locked down and golf courses reopen once the frost lifts, then this is a few simple tips that you can implement within your practice and take on board when you want to progress your golf swing in the future. But we're going to do this another indoor video today. It's so cold outside and it is dark, so I thought I would take the time wisely just to give you golfers a few simple tips that you can use within your practice, obviously to improve. So this is a request from one of my Instagram followers who are struggling with rushing downswing. So what I mean by rushing the downswing is it's almost a tendency to hit the golf ball a little bit too quickly. It's a topic of conversation I had with a student recently is the position of their weight in relation to the feet and in relation to the ground, how that affects their downswing position. So I had this student, an online student, who was struggling with rushing the downswing a little bit over the top. But the tendency was, it reverts back to the first fault we talked about, where golfers don't create enough rotation in their shoulders on the way back, and the arms get a little bit close to the body, and then that's where we start rushing the downswing. So we need to create a little bit more rotation to get our arms a little bit more further away from the golf ball, so that allows our arms to take the longest route possible on the way down. But the next thing we want to talk about is this golfer, they got their hands to the top of the backswing, and the tendency was, if you think about this, if we were to start the downswing off our back foot, then what's going to happen is the club gets a little bit steep. So if I was to get into a position where I start the downswing with pressure moving into my right heel, the club gets a little bit close to my body and it gets a little bit steep. So the analogy I used is, think of you're tossing, let's say tossing a tennis ball, or you're skimming a stone. What we want to do first, from that position, we want to get in a stable base, but the analogy we use is, the first thing we would do before our hand gets to, let's say, shoulder height, is we're going to apply a little bit of pressure into our front foot. So that pressure into our front foot is actually going to delay this club from moving too quickly. So if we get in a position where, let's say we were just tossing our right hand into the ground, our pressure moving off our back foot, then we're just going to get the hand moving a little bit too far in front of us, as long as over the top or steep. So what I want you to feel like, this golfer, this analogy resonated with him. He was tossing a stone, going back to the beach, skimming a stone. And what he was trying to do is, from there, the feeling was he was trying to get pressure into his front foot before his hand got to shoulder height. That was the analogy I used. We've done a few rehearsal swings like that before we actually put our hands on the golf club. That's another key to remember. We want to kind of train the feeling, a big feeling, and then we get our hands on the golf club. So that's the most important thing. We've got our hands right shoulder, but the main objective is that we just feel like we're taking a step to the left, and that naturally shallows this golf club. So if we get our hand to the top of that swing, then we start our pressure down on our right foot too early, and that's where we're going to start rushing the downswing. So tip number 2, what we need to do is we need to feel like when we get our right hand to the top, as before our right hand gets to the top of our right shoulder, I want to feel like we get a little bit more pressure left. So what we're doing is, we're not starting our pressure on our right foot on the way down. That's where we get a little bit steep. That's where the club gets in that, let's say, an unnatural position. We want to take our right hand to the top of the backswing. We want to feel like, as before our arm gets to the top of the backswing, we start moving a little bit of pressure left. Another drill that you can use is just take your hand on the golf club, and I want you to grip it as lightly as possible, so you can almost feel the weight of the golf club. And we're just feel like the weight of the golf club is dropping behind so the weight of this club head is just dropping behind my body, almost in that position. I'm not manipulating it with my hands, so the idea is I'm keeping the width of my hands, I'm not yanking down with my hands, I'm keeping the width of my arms, but I'm just allowing my pressure to move left to control the shallowing of this golf club and delay the kind of tendency of rushing the downswing. So that's going to slow the club down a little bit on the downswing, because the shallow motion is going to slow the club down, and instead of pulling the hands down, that's where we create a lot of trouble. So think, before our hand gets to the top of the backswing, the pressure's moving into our left foot, and that's just a natural feel, and that's going to delay the release, it's going to allow the club to shallow, and that's also a drill I use with students who are struggling with length of backswing. So the idea is, this is a David Ledbetter drill. We get our hands to the top, before our hands get to the top of the backswing, I want you to feel like you're moving a little bit more pressure left. That's actually going to pull the arms the other way. If you think, if we were throwing something, if our pressure's moving this way, our natural body position is moving a little bit more forward, which is going to move my hands a little bit more behind my body, and that's going to help us shallow the golf club. We don't want to spin like that. We don't want to get the hands to the top, that's going to spin off our right foot. That's where our body weight moves back, the way our hands are thrown at the golf ball, and that's where we're going to create a lot of problems. So that's tip number 2. And tip number 3 is a simple count in your head that you can use. It's the simplest thing you can do, and that is, we want to build up a little bit more energy on the way back and release that energy on the way through. So what I said to this golfer is, what would you do if you were struggling on the golf course? And this golfer said to me, I would slow my arms down and also count in my head 1, 2 and 3 to the top of the backswing, and then let's say 1, 2, 3 on the way down. So I said to him, why don't we flip that on its head? Why don't we go 1, 2 slowly, and then we're going to go 3, 4 and then 5. So we're training the feeling really slowly, and then we hit some shots, 50-yard shots, just to try and train that feeling. So what we done was, we got to the top of the backswing, and this golfer he went 1, 2 to the top, and then he almost released the club with his shoulders nice and quickly. So what we said, what we need to do is we need to create power, we need to restore power, and then we need to release that power. That is the 3 main objectives that we looked at. So what we want to do is we want to create power, we want to restore power, and then we're going to release that power. So what we said is, we want to go 1, 2, 3, and on 3, I just want you to feel that your hands are just staying where they are, and our lower body starts to initiate the downswing. So what when you feel you're doing is we're going 1, 2, 3. So almost on your hands feel like I'm pushing more this way. So our hands are, instead of our hands moving forward on 3, our hands feel like they move more back the way. That's going to delay the club releasing a little bit. It's going to develop the feeling of that kind of resistance on the right side. It's going to develop the feeling of work. So what I want you to do is I want you to go 1, 2, stop at the top, 3, feel like your hands are pushed back the way, so 3, and then we're going to go 4, which is going to allow our lower body to turn, and 5, our chest to rotate through impact. So that's another drill that you can use. So this golfer kind of got to the top of the backswing, yanked the shoulders down, body doesn't turn, hips kind of delayed, rotating through impact. 1, 2, shoulders are fully turned, I'm looking over my right shoulder, my body's fully pivoted, and then 3, that's going to allow my pressure to move in my front foot, 4, that's going to allow my hips to rotate, and 5, that's going to allow my shoulders to rotate more through impact after my hips start the downswing. So guys, there's 3 simple tips that you need within your practice to stop rushing downswing. So remember, what we need to look at is the way our body coils up, the way our body rotates. How do we create that pressure? How do we create that rotation backswing? How do we maintain that, and then how do we release that? That is 3 simple tips I use within, let's say, when educating, let's say, golfers and students to improve the position of the golf club on the backswing and the downswing. So 3 simple tips. What when you do is when you feel like when you get to the top of the backswing, you're just looking over your right shoulder. So you're just kind of rotating your shoulders. You're not moving your head. Rotating your shoulders. You're looking over your right shoulder. Tip number 2, when you feel like we're going back to a summer's day and we're trading, let's say, the indoor practice for the beach. And what when you feel like you're doing is using an analogy Skinner stone. We're moving our pressure left. We feel like we're moving. It's almost as if we're playing baseball and we create all that pressure into our right foot. plant our left foot, and then we're going to delay the arms coming too quickly into impact. So pressure moving left before my right shoulder, our hand get to right shoulder, that's going to allow the club to shallow, and then release that through impact. And drill number 3, what we're going to talk about is using the number. Let's say we're watching Countdown, and I want you to feel that you're using 5 numbers on Countdown to kind of improve your golf swing. So we're going 1, that's club kind of parallel on my right hip. 2, that's going to allow the body to rotate, it's going to allow me to look over my right shoulder. 3, I want you to feel that your arms are just kind of staying where they are, but they're just a little bit further away from your right shoulder. 4, my hips are going to rotate. And 5, my shoulders are going to rotate into impact. So that's 3 simple drills you can use in practice. If you like the video, make sure you thumbs up. Also comment below with your thoughts on the video. Obviously we've done this inside, so it's kind of just covering the groundwork. Once we get back on the range, I'm going to do a part 2 of kind of this stop rush downswing. Comment below with your thoughts on the video. Also share the video around if you like what you see, and we'll see you later in the week. Comment below with future videos you'd like to see on my channel. Like the video, subscribe, share it around. We'll see you soon, stay safe, keep practicing, and let me know if that helps you stop rushing the downswing track. Use the 3 simple drills, and we'll see you soon.